Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to the Mixer and the first player profile here thingamajigabob, in this whole new era of a new sport, In case you guys don't know, the Mixer is the place where I can give you guys different kinds of info related to all kinds of different topics and stuff, and sometimes I cover sports related things, like specific athletes, and I have been playing FIFA 22. Well, I literally just started actually. Here's the first gameplay here if you guys want to go check it out, The very first game there, and already immediately after that I want to hit you guys with a vlog talking about a specific athlete, because it was Real Madrid versus Barcelona at Clásico, one of the greatest rivalries in this sport. A little disclaimer here, I am aware that in pretty much every single part of the world except for the United States, this sport is called football. I'm aware, but I'm gonna call it soccer here in my videos because it's gonna make it easier for me. I do speak American English, I understand the logic. Football, you kick the ball with your foot, although the term soccer does come from the same nomenclature, but I'm not gonna get into that now, but basically it makes sense to say soccer or football, so I'm gonna say soccer, and I don't care if it irks you. I really don't care, okay? And also, you guys might notice, yes, I am wearing a Real Madrid jersey today, It's actually a very old jersey, This is from back in the, if I'm not mistaken, the 2010, 2011, the 2009. Yeah, I think it was like climbing in the 08-09 season, climbing to the 2010, because this is actually Cristiano Ronaldo's jersey, so it's really old. But there is sort of kind of a relation between the two players, the one that I just mentioned and the one that I'm going to talk about today, because the one that I'm going to be talking about did play for Real Madrid at some point in his career, and the thumbnail is going to be him with the Madrid jersey anyway. So today I'm going to be getting into the original Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima, the Brazilian Ronaldo, the one before Ronaldinho even, and you guys might not notice, but back in the late 90s, in the mid to late 90s, Ronaldo was actually dubbed Ronaldinho. He was Ronaldinho before Ronaldinho Gaucho, who became a lot more famous, but he is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best player of all time, and he is pretty much, in my generation, he is the Pelé of my father and grandfather's generation, and now Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo have been two of the best players, playing at top level for 15 years now, and it's always been one or the other when it comes to best player in the world in recent years, but Ronaldo was different, man. He was a cut above the rest because he pretty much pioneered a lot of different techniques and ways of playing, an entirely different play style before players like Cristiano and Messi were even born, Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. They were already born, but you guys get the idea, okay? So, in my opinion, he is the best that I have ever seen play personally, and that's because I saw more of his era than Ronaldinho, I don't know why. It just because it's more nostalgic to me as a 90s kid who did spend some time here in Brazil before living abroad, and there was just a fever around Ronaldo, and his name was O Fenômeno, which translates to the phenomenon, and that really is very fitting, He played for quite a few different clubs throughout his career, scoring goals, and showing off these amazing eye-popping skills in all of them. And now his career accolades are very impressive, with all the clubs and national teams, among which he won the FIFA World Player of the Year 3 times and 2 Ballon d'Ors, if I'm not mistaken, because yes, the two, because those awards were separated back then, in the 90s and early 2000s. You had the FIFA World Player of the Year and the FIFA Ballon d'Or, the French one, which were two different. It was possible for a player to win one and not the other, is what I'm saying, For many years with Messi and Cristiano playing, they both became one. It became the FIFA Ballon d'Or, and then they split it again later. I don't know why. It made so much sense to have just one, But anyway, so yes, Ronaldo was an incredible phenomenon in his prime, in his days in Barcelona and Inter Milan. Dude, the guy was literally unstoppable. It was like playing on the PS2 with every slider at 99, He was literally a cheat code. It was like Will Chamberlain playing basketball, Ronaldo was just insanely invincible on the field, So I'm going to be getting into a little bit of his career accolades, what he did in his career, and I'm going to try to, it's a lot of information, I made a little cheat sheet here, but I'm also going to be reading directly from a few different articles to try to make this easier. But basically, I'm going to kind of spread this out with club careers, then national team career, and then what he did, as a player, individual style, legacy, that kind of thing. And let's just go from there and see where it goes, okay? So, before I continue, I'm going to show you guys a little clip here, the first clip of many probably in this video of Ronaldo back in his early days.
sempre aos sábados aqui na Bandeirantes. Só vale gol de menor de idade, 17 anos. Olha o Cruzeiro e Bahia 6-0. Ronaldo vai fazer esse gol. O goleiro Budeu meteu lá dentro. É o momento Adidas para você. A marca mundial das três listras.
Oh yeah, that first clip there probably had very crappy quality, but I promise it's gonna get better as the video goes on, you know? The last one, I don't even know how many clips I'm gonna be able to fit in here, but I'm gonna try to keep the ones where he was a little bit more, I don't know, he was a little bit more in his, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna put random clips in here. So anyway, officially, his career began, you know, when he played for the youth squad in this club called São Cristóvão, and that was from 1990 to 1993, you know, where he pretty much dazzled everybody with his skills. I do believe he played on like this futsal court, you know. There are very, very old clips of him on YouTube, and you still can find him, you know, but the quality is insanely crappy, you know. He grew up in this neighborhood called Bento Ribeiro in Rio de Janeiro, you know, so it was a very impoverished area where pretty much soccer was like the thing that most made the kids want to, you know, have fun and stuff, you know, so which is the case for many poor neighborhoods here in this country, you know. So he played for a few years there. However, he eventually made his rise to a club called Cruzeiro, which he played, you know, his senior career from 1993 until 1994, just one season, you know. Fun fact, he actually wanted to originally play for Flamengo, which is one of the biggest teams in Brazil, but because there was a practice that he had to attend, but he couldn't afford, you know, he didn't have enough money for the hour-long bus ride there, so he was cut from the team. But this other player named Jairzinho, who I believe had won some years ago, he had won the World Cup with Pele, you know, in 1970. If it's the same player, if it's not, I just said something really dumb. He actually saw the potential and helped him move to Cruzeiro, you know, where they did win a few titles. I'm going to be getting into the titles later, so I don't put in too much information here in this aspect here, but he did win the state championship and also the domestic cup, you know. And all in all, for Cruzeiro, he played 47 games across all of the competitions, you know, in that season, and he scored 44 goals, which is damn near 1 goal per game, which is crazy, man, you know. They had actually gotten back from a tour, you know, and during the little youth the little youth career, he actually scored 5 goals in one game against Bahia, you know, so that was impressive. Once they came back from the tour, that's when he made his debut for the senior team, and that's where everything went crazy. Now, after that, he finally got a chance to move and play soccer in Europe, you know. He signed for a club named PSV Eindhoven. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I don't speak Dutch after all. And he played there from 1994 to 1996. And it's actually funny because already in his debut game against Vitesse, in the first 10 minutes, he already scored his first goal, you know. And the very next game, you know, was his home debut, you know, for the team against Go Ahead Eagles, where he scored a brace, which is 2 goals, you know. And all in all, for that club, he played 58 games, you know, where he showed the world how remarkable he was at scoring and dribbling, because he put up 54 goals, right? So Ronaldo was already debuting some of his moves that would later become staples, you know. He was really hard to guard and mark, and he would pull off these random moves like these crazy step-overs, you know, even though, because like back then, today it's normal for us to see Messi, you know. A few years ago, it was normal to see Messi dribbling past 5-6 players and scoring. Ronaldo did this back in the day in the late 90s where nobody else was doing it, so it really was unprecedented territory, you know. And also, everybody would say that, you know, he would be doing things that nobody would see before, you know. These crazy dribbles from the midfield, you know, dribbling past everybody and scoring a goal, you know. And of course, that would actually be much more improved upon when he joined Barcelona, you know. Now, the thing is that when he joined Barcelona, he originally signed for a then record $19.5 million transfer fee. No player in the world had even come close to that, you know. Since then, today, in modern days, it's normal for players to sign for double or even triple that, you know. But he played for Barcelona just one season from 1996 until 1997, where a lot of people would argue, myself included, that that was the peak of his career. Just one season was enough for him to show how much of a phenomenal player he was, you know, because he did things in that season that no player ever has done since then, you know, in my opinion. Because remember, Messi's best season in Barcelona does not compare to Ronaldo's best, his only season there, you know, or Neymar. You could argue Ronaldinho played better because he played for longer, but he was at the physical peak. He was at his physical peak, man, you know, because Ronaldo back in the day was all just muscle and strength and fiber, you know. It was really hard for you to stop this guy because he worked out relentlessly and he could run, pick up the ball, from the midfield and just run and get past every single player. Basically what he did in PSV, but multiplied, you know. And also in that season he played 49 games, you know, scoring in almost every single one because he put up a total of 47 goals. And at the end of the 96 season, he was the youngest player at the time to win the FIFA World Player of the Year award at just 20 years old. So that was freaking insane. And then he actually scored in 96 this goal that was very memorable. Hopefully it's the goal that I'm going to insert here later if I can, you know, because it was this really memorable goal that he got the ball from the midfield, you know, and jumped over an attempted tackle, got through a few other players. They were trying to hold him and grab his shirt. He dribbled past everybody, you know. A few more defenders came. He got past them, and then he finessed it past the keeper in the bottom corner. That goal was freaking insane. And actually, from then, it was replayed 160 times on TV over the next 48 hours after it happened, you know. So Ronaldo in Barcelona was literally unstoppable. That was, a lot of people could argue that that was his best moment in his career pre-injury, you know. And honestly, him playing in Barcelona was literally like you watching somebody playing a video game, you know. It was like a video game character just moving around and dribbling and scoring goals like crazy. And a lot of people regard him as the best player post Maradona in that era there, you know, because everything seemed like perfection. Every move was so perfectly executed. Every goal was just amazingly scored, you know. It was just freaking crazy, man. Ronaldo was just, honestly, the first half of his career was pretty insane. And you know, there was also, what else can I say? Oh yes, there was also a lot of praise towards his powerful, his skills, his ball handling, you know, his speed, because he could really control the ball very well, you know, and it was really hard for you to guard him and take the ball from him. So his peak at Barcelona was honestly just, because like you can have a lot of the greatest players today like Neymar, Messi, Ronaldo, and others, you know, whoever you saw in the last few years, even Ronaldinho in his prime at Barca. And if you put all of those players together, you might have Ronaldo back in Barcelona. You know, only watching him on YouTube is not just. Having actually seen him, you know, in person is going to give you a much better idea of what happened. And pretty much, yes, Barcelona wanted to sign him until 2006. You know, they said that they was theirs forever, but it just fell through. You know, unfortunately that didn't happen. But still, it just kept going and going. And I was going to say something else, but honestly, guys, I think I'm actually going to cut this one short here, you know, because it's getting too long. So before I continue and show you guys a few more club statistics, let me now show you, hopefully, I'm going to cut this at the perfect time to show you a goal that he scored in Barcelona. Hopefully that one, that was actually, that goal was against this club called SD Compostela, you know. And if I can find that goal on YouTube, I'm going to put it here. And if not, one that is similar.
Gives the ball away and players colliding left, right and centre. Ronaldo keeps his feet. Great strength by the Brazilian. He's left three players in his wake. He's kept his feet. This will be a wonderful goal. Oh, it is! That is world class! Absolute genius from the young Brazilian. And Bobby Robson, who's seen virtually everything in his time, stands up and applauds.
Now, as explosive as Ronaldo was in Barcelona, something happened, man, that made the guy go even more above and beyond when he transferred to Inter Milan after that season, you know. And this is where he really truly became the Ronaldo that we all know and love, because he played there from 1997 until 2002. And the thing is that his very transfer to this club made headlines because he transferred for $27 million. So he had already made the transfer, you know, from to Barcelona for a record transfers fee, and then another one when he went to Inter, and that made him the second player after Diego Maradona to break the transfer record twice. You know, that is a lot of money, man. That is a lot of money for one player. And he was unveiled for on the training grounds for 4,000 fans, you know, and he really went above and beyond at Inter because he started to show a lot more of his stepovers and his feints, you know, because Ronaldo at Inter was really at the top of the world, you know. He started to climb higher and higher in the ranks to become one of the best players, you know, while also finding World Cup glory later on, but that's going to be a little bit further down the road, you know. So now a few notable things, you know, here in Inter, you know, after that season there, he actually became he won his second FIFA World Player of the Year award and also his first Ballon d'Or, his first Ballon d'Or, you know, because they were two different awards at the time. And all in all for Inter, he played 99 games and went on to score also. His goal margin dipped a little bit because he scored 59 goals, you know. However, there are a few things between that I want to mention, you know. In 1998 against Lazio, he actually had this really memorable goal where he pulled off a series of stepovers and feints, you know. He dribbled left and right and he got past the keeper without even touching the ball and actually managed to score, you know. If I can find that goal, I'm going to insert it here later, but I don't know. So with Ronaldo, he scored many notable goals because he was taking and scoring free kicks, and he was the penalty taker, you know. I do believe he even became the captain at one point, if I remember, and you know, he was scoring goals like crazy. It was pretty much a goal or two every other game or so, and it was really hard to stop him because of his explosiveness. It was really tough for you to stop Ronaldo in his physical prime. However, it was at Inter where the injuries would start to pop up, you know. In 1999, he actually suffered an injury during a match where he had to limp off, you know, but everything was okay for a while. He went back to he did physical therapy, recuperated, and got back into playing, you know. Unfortunately, in 2000, this is where things would really take a turn for the worse, because 6 minutes into the Coppa Italia final against Lazio again, that's when he suffered possibly the worst knee injury of his career, where if you see the replay, it still looks painful to this day because his knee literally pops out of his socket, you know. Doctors were later going to say that his kneecap literally exploded, you know, and it caused so much pain. He immediately fell to the ground, you know, and you could see the pain of agony in his face as he screamed and even cried, you know. And that unfortunately was a season-ending injury because he would later take 2 years to recover from that, you know. And it was really tough on him because this is a player that, you know, had this not happened, he would still be at his physical prime for the next 2 years, you know, because Ronaldo is a player that injury really unfortunately plagued his career a lot of times, because had it not been for the injuries, he would have continued to be the best player in the year for maybe even a decade or so. So throughout his time there, you know, he would do his trademark goal celebrations of doing this, you know, back in Barca also, you know, kind of like to resemble the Christ Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, or his teammates would pretend to shine his boot, you know. He had a lot of really amazing moments there with Inter, a lot of really memorable goals and a lot of crazy feints and stuff, you know. But unfortunately, that was the problem. Knee injuries actually plagued him a lot. And a few other things I want to say here, you know, after all of this, a lot of people would say, even his teammates would say that even watching him in training would just be extraordinary, you know, because when you're playing in Italy, it is the toughest place to play soccer, man, because it is very defensive, you know. The best defenders played in Italy at the time, you know, so to be a player as exceptional as Ronaldo was and play at a high level and score goals so frequently against the best defenders was really crazy. The Serie A defense was really crazy back in the day, still is today, but in the 90s it was tough, man, you know, because they had a lot of really good defensive strategies, you know, to build around him and try to stop him, and that's why he scored less goals than, you know, per game average in other clubs, you know. So now his performances there, especially the 2 seasons before injury, saw him named as one of the inaugural inductees into the Inter Milan Hall of Fame, you know, in 2018. So Ronaldo was crazy, man. Ronaldo was crazy in Inter, you know, because he could pretty much create goal opportunities from thin air, you know. You never knew what he was going to do. He was a multifunctional striker that grabbed the ball from the midfield and just ran all the way to the end of the goal, and you never even knew what he was gonna do, you know. It was really tough to stop him. Believe me, I know what I'm saying. So yes, what else can I say now? I'm pretty sure that's essentially it, you know. I think that now is the time for me to cut again and show you guys a goal, possibly from Inter, you know, because if I get into the territory of Real Madrid, it's going to take a long time, and I want to leave this year to the next one. So, and I'm looking for an excuse to show you guys the goal that he scored for Inter, you know. So let's see if I can get that done there with the copyright stuff and issues and whatnot, you know. So let's take a look here before we get into the next phase of his career.
And now Ronaldo, who is onside. This to seal it. This for the cut. What a finish, what a moment, what a player. He might have been quiet, but Ronaldo seals the win.
Alrighty, so now let's get to the reason why I'm wearing this jersey today, you know, because Ronaldo, after his success with Inter Milan and coming back from injury, you know, he did not renew his contract, instead choosing to sign with Spanish club Real Madrid, you know, making a very well, it would be a controversial move because he played for Barcelona for a season, but he never transferred directly between them, you know, so I guess that the supporters didn't really see any big deal in that, you know. So he played for the Whites from 2002 until 2007, you know, throughout which he played 104 games in, no, sorry, I completely mixed up the statistics there. He actually played 177 games. There we go, got the right information there. And he scored 104 goals, you know, becoming yet another player to score over a century of goals, you know. And throughout his time in Real Madrid, he actually formed this super team, you know, the Galacticos, which had players like David Beckham, Roberto Carlos, and Figo and Raul as well. And then there was Zinedine Zidane, you know, Roberto Carlos, and unfortunately, they did not have the success that they wanted to, because you can't have, if you understand basic sports, you can't have too many good players in one team because they're not going to balance each other out. The guys barely got along. They didn't even talk in the locker room, you know, so they weren't exactly buddy-buddy, you know. But Ronaldo still put up a few impressive numbers, you know. He won his second Ballon d'Or that season in 02, you know. And in his debut, you know, against Alaves, you know, he came on in the 61st minute and still scored 2 goals. You know, that was really impressive as well. And then later on, in the UEFA Champions League quarter-final stage against Manchester United, he actually scored a hat-trick, which is 3 goals, and he got a standing ovation from both sides, you know. So the Real Madrid and the United supporters got up and applauded him, you know, and that is really unprecedented. Other players who had this happen was Messi and Ronaldo, you know, so it's really, it shows a lot of sportsmanship and respect from the supporters, you know. But unfortunately, at Real Madrid is where Ronaldo started to dip in quality, because he started to gain a little bit of weight, you know. He actually had a few injuries coming back to haunt him, you know, including another knee injury. And so because of his time inactive, he actually started to gain a little bit of weight and wasn't taking care of himself as much as he could have, you know. A stark contrast to Cristiano Ronaldo, who came on many years, you know. But still, he did win a few titles with Real Madrid, but not exactly what they wanted to, you know. But it's pretty crazy, man. A few tidbits of info here, you know. His final 2 seasons, that's when stars started to go down, because Fabio Capello, which I believe was the coach, you know, he went on to say that Ronaldo was the most difficult player to handle, but the best that he coached, you know, and he was more talented than Cristiano, you know, but he didn't take care of himself the way he did, and that's why his performances weren't so well, you know. So he started to lose more of his explosiveness, you know. It started to dip less and less and less in his playing quality, you know. So despite scoring a few memorable goals and playing really well and being the top player in La Liga, the scorer a few times, he unfortunately lost his peak very quickly. And here we go. Even Michael Owen said that he would have liked to have a chance to play with him in his prime, you know. But yes, and then eventually he would exit Real Madrid after another knee injury that ended his season there. And because he was still a little bitter, he decided to go back to Italy now. He played for 5 seasons in Inter, but then he decided to join the rivals, you know, which was AC Milan. And he played at AC Milan just 1 season from 2007 to 2008, where he really was a shadow of the Ronaldo that he used to be, you know. That guy, I mean, it really was not the same player, you know, save for the hairstyle. He always had the number 9 jersey in his career, but now he grabbed the number 99 for some reason. I don't really know what the reason was. Maybe because another player, I think Inzaghi, had 9, you know. But anyway, so all in all for Milan, he played 20 games across that season, you know. Not a lot because of injuries, you know, not really playing too much. And also he scored only 9 goals. And his time in Milan was notable for having an attacking trio with Kaká and Alexander Pato, also 2 Brazilians, you know. They formed this trio called Caparro, you know, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Yeah, Caparro. And kind of stupid, sounds like a Kung Fu Hustler or something, you know. And other notable players like Clarence Seedorf, you know, Inzaghi, a few other Italians also. They're trying to make a more powerful team around him, you know. And ultimately, he would not really play too well, wouldn't really have a big impact until yet another brutal knee injury, the same exact injury that has happened so many times, you know. Clarence Seedorf even said that he saw the pain in Ronaldo's face. It was the same exact expression as his knee injury back in Inter, you know. And this happened in a 1-1 draw against Livorno, you know. He tried to jump and head the ball, and unfortunately, when he came down, immediately his knee buckled and he went down. Ended his season, and at the time many thought his playing career, you know. So that really sucked, you know. It was hard to be Ronaldo because he was considerably heavier at the time. You could see that, you know, his weight issues were really starting to plague him a lot, you know. So but then He scored just a few goals and this and that. What else can we see? Okay, they lost to Juventus in the finals. So yes, and because of that, he was released by Milan. His contract was expired. They did not want to renew it, and that's when he decided to come back to Brazil. You know, he started to train for with Brazilian club Flamengo, and apparently the president said that the door would be open if he wanted to join. But even though they helped him get back on his feet, for some reason, in what was considered to be the ultimate betrayal, he decided to sign for the club Corinthians in São Paulo instead. You know. And the Flamengo supporters were burning his jerseys, you know. It was really, really badly received, and it was tough, dude. It was tough. He did win 2 titles with them, you know, but ultimately he started to dip more and more in quality, and he would go on to play 69 games for Corinthians, and throughout those games he would actually score 35 goals. By the way, I have to answer a phone call here, so let me just see what's up. Okay, you guys probably saw right, I'm cut there because I had to go downstairs and grab something for my dad. You know, he dropped by. So anyway, continuing, right? Corinthians. So I don't know if I said the years, so if I didn't, it's going to show up on screen right now. He played there from 2009 to 2011, you know, just a few seasons. And now his first actual debut for Corinthians came, you know, in this team called Itumbiara, this really crazy team, you know. He came on as a sub, but he actually scored his first goal sometime later, you know, in a Campeonato Paulista match, you know, against Palmeiras. And then his first goal, he ran behind the goal and jumped on the fence, and everybody was screaming, you know. And sometime later, he would score one of his best goals for the club, you know, which was this chip from 30 yards out over the keeper. And that goal was crazy, man, you know, because it sent the fans into freaking hysteria. And also, this was against Santos, so guess who was watching the game? Pele, you know. Pele was there because he did play all of his career for Santos, you know, so he was there looking for the... Actually, no, I think that's, yeah, it's the same game, you know, because he scored twice in that one. So yes, but anyway, he actually went on to help Corinthians win that championship, you know, scoring 10 goals in 14 games. But then time went on, and unfortunately when 2010 came around, I actually saw these games, buddy. I saw a few games, you know, in 09 and 2010. This is actually when I came to Brazil and started watching this sport, you know. He did score a hat-trick against Fluminense, my team, you know, in 09. That was a crazy game. We lost 4-2, man. Ronaldo was unstoppable in that game, you know. Despite being fatter than a freaking minivan, the guy was huge, and he still ran and scored goals. I don't understand. But anyway, he's like a fat uncle trying to play ball with his kids or something. I don't know. But eventually, despite that, he actually really fell a lot from grace in 2010. He gained even more weight, you know. His body was taking a pounding, and so, you know, in 2011, he said, you know what, I just can't do this anymore, you know. I really love the game, but I'm going to say exactly his quote here, you know. He obviously said this in Portuguese, but I'm going to translate it here in English, you know. So he actually... he cited pain and also this thing called, let me see if I can pronounce it, hypothyroidism, whatever the hell it is. You know, I put it on screen here, so whatever it is, you guys saw it there. But basically, it's a medical condition that slows down your metabolism, you know, and causes a lot of weight gain. So that's one of the reasons why he had to stop. You know, he couldn't lose weight even if he tried. So then he went on to say, you know, his body had finally succumbed to all of the injuries over the years, you know, and he said, I quote, "It's very hard to leave something that made me so happy. Mentally, I wanted to continue, but I have to acknowledge that I lost to my body. The head wants to go on, but the body can't take anymore. I think of an action, but I can't do it the way I want to. It's time to go." And so in 2011, that's when he officially retired, you know, as one of the greatest players that the nation had ever seen, man. God, Ronaldo. I was fortunate to see, you know, the beginning of his career, you know, and also the end of it. I didn't really catch much of the middle because I wasn't really too big of a fan of the sports in my teenage years, but still, man, I was able to see him live there at the end of it, you know, and of course his final game with Brazil, which I will get to later. Now, before I transition to the next part and talk a little bit of it about his national career, which will be a little shorter, I am going now to show you guys one more clip. Possibly, I don't know if it's going to be from Corinthians, man. Maybe from Real Madrid or Milan, but I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm trying to go in chronological order here. Let's take a look.
El Madrid ahora, ese ímpetu del Barcelona. Ahí va Roberto Carlos, el balón dentro del área para Ronaldo. ¡Ojo, Ronaldo!
Okay, let's get a little bit into the national team territory now, alright? So Ronaldo played for the Brazil national team from 1994 until 2011, even though his last active official match was, I believe, in 2006, you know, in the World Cup. Maybe he played in 07, I really don't remember, but for many years he was inactive, you know, but it still says until 2011 because he did come back for the farewell match. Maybe that's the criteria that they're following, you know. So in 98 games for Brazil, Ronaldo went on to score a then record 62 goals in total, you know, because he was actually the second highest one, you know, behind Pele. And then recently Neymar overtook him, so he is now the third highest goal scorer in Brazil national team history, you know. So and the thing is that he played for quite a few different tournaments, you know, starting back in the late 90s. I'm going to read them for you guys here, you know. He did go on to play in the 1994 World Cup in the United States, you know, where even though he didn't actually get on the field and play, he was still part of the squad and they won. So that was his first World Cup tournament, you know. So yeah, man, it still counts, you know, it still counts, you know. So 2 years later in 1996, he went to the Olympics with the national team, you know, but they only took bronze. They finished in third place. And then in 1998, we would see him assume a more protagonistic role in the 98 World Cup in France, you know, and now, he went on to score 4 goals in this tournament, you know, and he was actually playing pretty well. He was making a difference and took them into the finals where just a few hours before he suffered a convulsive fit, and to this day, nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows why. It's the mystery, you know, the missing striker in that World Cup tournament, you know. We had the most important player on the planet, one of the best, at the time, the best player, you know, and the most important for Brazil, ahead of the most important match of his career, and he suddenly falls ill, you know. There were conspiracy theories everywhere after that, you know. But all in all, Brazil finished runner-up. They actually lost 3-0 to France, you know. If you watch replays from that match, it's like he was sleepwalking. He wasn't really there, you know. And then he fell when he clashed with the keeper. It was very strange, you know. He didn't really have a lot of emotions. So despite a good campaign up until then, he and Brazil unfortunately went home, you know. Conspiracy theories galore all over the place, man. That was freaking crazy, you know. Like, everybody was wondering what the hell happened. Was he drugged or something, you know? It was really crazy. But then, of course, you know, in the next tournament, you know, in 2002, after recuperating from that aforementioned injury that he suffered in Inter, you know, he came back, you know. Brazil had barely qualified for that World Cup because without him, they were poor. They were just in shambles. When he came back, though, he showed the world that he was still Ronaldo because he went on to help Brazil lift the trophy that year, you know. Brazil had lifted their 5th World Cup trophy thanks to Ronaldo, who made a very dominant attacking trio with Rivaldo and Ronaldinho, who was up and coming himself, you know. If you guys saw the recent Netflix documentary, you know, about them, you know, it was really crazy. They were just unstoppable. They were invincible together, you know. One of the best attacking trios the world had ever seen. So he would go on to win. And then later on after that, in between all of that, I actually forgot to mention a few things, you know. Before that, you know, he had actually won the FIFA Confederations Cup in #97 before that thing happened in France, you know. And then after France, you know, actually, pretty much that, you know. I'm going to be getting to a different title later. And then in 2006, Brazil fell short, you know, to France in 06. I believe they made it to the quarterfinals in the World Cup. However, the unfortunate, the one good thing there is that he was part of this new age group of players with Kaká, Ronaldinho, a bit more renowned now, and Adriano as well, Kaká. And he scored 8 goals in 02, and in 06 he scored 3 more to make him the highest goal scorer in World Cup history with 15 goals, you know, a record which later would be demolished by Miroslav Klose, you know, because the German player, because he went on to not only tie, but surpass him in 2014. And the goal that he scored to surpass him was against Brazil, you know, that 7-1 disaster. So yes. And then he never played again. Now let's get into the Copa America, right? Like I was saying, the FIFA Confederations Cup he won in 97, but the Copa America he actually won in 1997 in Bolivia and 99 in Paraguay. There's also that, you know. And he was a runner-up in 90. Okay, I'm really doing this out of order because they put this thing out of order here in the cheat sheet, you know. In 95 he was the runner-up, and then in 97 he won, and then in 99 he won again in Paraguay. Oh my God, that's it. That was freaking crazy, you know. So yes, oh, and also in 2011, you know, there was the farewell match, you know, against Romania where they actually went on to win with the goal by Fred, you know. He came on with 15 minutes left to go, so he wanted to try to score a goal. He failed because he was really freaking fat. It was like a meme in and out of itself. And then there was the Olympic walk around the stadium, everybody was clapping, there was a little ceremony, this and that, you know. It's very rare for this to happen, but because of his extraordinary career, his contributions to the sport, FIFA and CBF allowed it to happen. You know, I watched that game live on TV. It was freaking awesome. And him crying in his retirement interview later, you know, that was, or before that, I don't remember. But anyway, guys, I'm going to show you one more clip here of Ronaldo now scoring a goal for Brazil before moving on to the final stretch, because this damn thing is already over 35 minutes long of just recording.
Back up. Got past his man. Pull back for Ronaldo! At last! It's Ronaldo who breaks the deadlock. Steered through the goalkeeper who got a hand on it but couldn't deal with the sheer power of Ronaldo's shot after some fine approach work down the flank.
Now, Ronaldo had a lot of, how can I say, he was very memed, you know, he was very made a mockery of, you know, in his later years before he was so overweight, but it's really easy for you to forget when you make all these jokes that he used to be very thin and very fast, you know. Ronaldo in his prime was nimble, you know, and he had a lot of really great skill and technical ability because he was not only fast, he had these insane lightning quick reflexes and he was able to dribble past defenders like they weren't even there, you know. Now, his technical ability showed off a lot more in Barcelona and Inter, you know. I have even a few quotes from players here because aside from giving assists, you know, he also created goal opportunities from out of nowhere. He was considered one of the most complete attackers and strikers in the world because he was very individualistic when he wanted to be, you know. He had amazing vision, excellent ball control, you know, and these crazy feints and dribbles that would leave any defender in the dust, you know. It was really hard to guard him. A lot of defenders still to this day swear that Ronaldo was the hardest player they've ever played against, you know, and the best that they have played with or against, you know. So he was very powerful. He had really good crossing ability, you know, good passing and technical finishing, and he was also very composed with excellent movement, you know. So the thing is that Ronaldo would always, he kind of like developed this new playing style back in the 1990s where, because he was seen right here, it says right here, you know, alongside other stars like Romario and George Weah, he kind of, he would operate, it's like this new breed of striker in the 90s who would operate more towards the midfield, but when he got the ball, he would make a beeline towards the goal, almost like every attack had a 10-second deadline. He would grab the ball and explode, you know, and it was really hard to catch up to him, and usually when it was one-on-one with the keeper, he would score almost 100% of the time, you know, and players would really fear this guy because if you try to tackle him, he would dribble you, dribble past you again and again and again, and then eventually dribble past the keeper and score, you know. Ronaldo was lightning quick and there was so much precision with his strikes, you know, with penalties, free kicks, all the like, you know. And then also, there was this one guy who said something that actually made really, they would say that a former defender would say that it was like watching a character in a video game. However, there is a quote from Rob Smith from The Guardian that I think was really cool. There were two different Ronaldos, you know, the one that came after long-term injury in 2002, you know, but the 1990s version was even better because he was like, the one from post-injury was a great goal scorer, the one pre-injury was a great everything, you know, he said, quoting directly from the source here, you know, and at his peak, he was definitely the most dangerous striker in the world, you know, and he really stood out. So many other players, you know, looked to him as an influence, like Ibrahimovic, for example, who is a renowned striker on his own, you know. Other players like Mohamed Salah, Wayne Rooney, Benzema, Karim Benzema, Sergio Aguero, Romelu Lukaku. Everybody who plays in the striker position as a forward looks to Ronaldo because he was the one who pioneered this amazing style of playing, you know. And with Brazil, he became part of this movement called Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game, you know, because of all these dribbles and feints and step overs. Ronaldo was a master of the step over, you know. He would do a lot of crazy stuff, you know, like step over the ball a few times here and there. And then he would pretty much feint past the keeper, pretend he was gonna kick, and then move in and then move in a different direction, like this little movement called the elastico. So it was pretty much impossible for you to stop him, you know. You could try to, but it was really, really impossible. So he kind of changed the dimension of a striker because he could also dribble like a winger and run like a sprinter, you know. So he was kind of like an all-in-one, a jack of all trades, you know, in his peak years, and even more later in Real Madrid. So yes. Now, what else can I say? That's pretty much it, you know. Quick reactions, anticipation, you know, he beat the defenders to the ball, was effective with his head. He could also shoot with either foot, by the way. He could shoot with his left or his right foot, you know, so he could finish really well from both inside and outside the penalty area. So, like I said, very complete striker, very hard to guard. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to read now for you guys his career honors, you know, his statistics, you know, because it was really hard for you to predict what Ronaldo was going to do, you know. He could create opportunities from thin air, and because he scored so many goals and gave so many assists, he was able to win quite a few different honors. Let's get into that now quickly before we wrap it up. So for Cruzeiro, you know, his very first senior club, he won 2 titles, which was the Copa do Brasil in 1993, and then he would also go on to win the Campeonato Mineiro, you know, the championship the year after that. Then later when he went to the Dutch, you know, to join PSV, he won this thing called the KNVB Cup, you know, in the 1995 to 96 season, you know. And then later he also won the Johan Cruyff Shield in 96. I don't even know what this is. Okay. So when he joined Barcelona, he won the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, you know, and that was in 96 to 97. I don't even know what the hell this is, by the way. I don't think it's active today. The Copa del Rey, you know, which was the same year, 1996 and 97, the same season. And then, you know, he would go on also to win the Supercopa de España, the Spanish Super Cup in 96, with Inter Milan, where he, despite being so explosive and dominant, he just won one thing, which is the UEFA Cup, you know, in 97 to 98. Then later on, his most successful run with Real Madrid, right, he won the Intercontinental Cup in 2002, his first season there, and he would also go on to win twice La Liga, the Spanish championship, you know, in 02 and 03 and 06, 07, and then he would also win the Supercopa de España in 2003, you know. And like I said before, when he came back to Brazil, Corinthians, he won the Copa do Brasil, the Brazilian Cup in 09, and also the Campeonato Paulista, the Paulista Championship in 2009. And then I'm going to say this again for Brazil, just to make it more condensed here, you know. With the national team, you know, Brazil, he won, like I said before, he won 2 FIFA World Cups, you know, and being a runner-up in 98. And also, he won 2 Copa Americas, you know, a runner-up in 90. I gotta stop saying, you know, runner-up in 95. Then the FIFA Confederations Cup in 1997, you know. Oh my God. And then also the Summer Olympic Games bronze medal in 96. I'm not going to read his individual accolades because that's going to just get way too long, you know. I think I'm going to wrap this up here, guys, because I have been sitting here recording for over 40 minutes. This video is going to get a lot longer than I expected, you know. And imagine when I do videos like Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, you know, that's going to be crazy. I'm going to wrap it up here quickly now because it's getting way too long. If you guys happen to enjoy this video, if you made it this far, please go ahead and give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell too so you can know exactly what time I upload. Was not expecting this video to get so long. I'm gonna have to wake up really early to edit it the next day, and hopefully I can get it done before then and so before the deadline. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy this format because it's the first of many that I'm going to be doing, you know, different athletes and stuff within the sport. So yes, long live the original Ronaldo, the phenomenon. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. I am exhausted. Roll the outro screen.